This conference will now be recorded.
I apologize for the late start. There was some miscommunication about starting time. I'm Karina Kmirovic. I'm publisher for IET Journals. IET stands for Institutional Engineering and Technology. I have been with the IET for the past 8.5 years, and I will talk today about I'll give you a little bit of an introduction into the IET, into our activities, into our mission, and then I'll move on to how to get published, the main workshop, and then I'll conclude by talking about the IET journals and sort of explain and give a little bit of a background in terms of how you can publish and participate in our activities. But first of all, before I start, I would like to give my thanks to iGroup for organizing this workshop, and it is a great honor for me to represent the IET. So thank you. IET is a non-for-profit organization. We are a membership organization, and we have a long history. We were founded in 1871. We are also one of the largest engineering institutions. We have nearly 170,000 members in about 150 different countries. We have 6 offices around the world and about 4,000 volunteers who are given the time and expertise to help further our activity around the globe. So we provide thought leadership. We provide advice to government and other agencies. We safeguard professional standards for engineers and engineering. You may be aware that we actually publish standards. This is one of our activities. We provide professional homes, and we are very proud of that, to be a professional home for engineers and technicians. And we deliver the first-class knowledge. So our mission statement, I'm just going to move here. Sorry. Okay, so I'll move back. So our mission statement is to inspire, inform, and influence the global engineering community, supporting technology innovation to meet the needs of society. And this is the entrance to our head office in London. Okay, so in terms of delivering first-class knowledge, we are a leading learning society, and we have several products, including IET Inspec, which is our research discovery database, which have 80 million abstract records. Inspec Analytics, this is a dynamic tool which was built on top of the IET's renowned Inspec database. We have a very active books program, so with about 550 ebooks available through our digital library, and also we add about 75 new books every year. Journals, so this is my domain. We have currently 45 journals. The program has grown from about 24 journals when I started 8 years ago now to 45 journals. Last year we got about nearly 25,000 submissions, published about 7,000 articles. So our aim is to deliver impact for authors, researchers, and research. So our focus is to publish high quality research and to help our authors achieve global reach, worldwide authorship and leadership, and to also we focus on quality, service, and impact as well. So our journals are indexed in sort of all the main databases, including obviously IET Inspec, IEEE Explore, Citation Index, Google Scholar, Scopus, and EA Compendex. I would like to tell you a little bit more about our journals archive. So we have actually content which goes back to 1872, and there is a part of archive which sort of spans over 140 years from 1872 to 2012. So this is the content that you can basically subscribe on our digital library. but also we currently offer free trials, free access, and you can talk to my colleagues in sales to be able to help you with that. But this is basically a wealth of basically knowledge that we as a kind of as a society, publishing society, and as an institution, that we are sort of proud to have in our database. So there are about 145,000 full text articles, and including some really groundbreaking articles by engineering pioneers such as Marconi and Edison. And content types include primarily literature, journal articles, conference types, but also book reviews, commentaries, and discussions and editorials. So please go to this library and take a look. Sorry, so I'll move on to the main bit of my presentation. I do have quite a few slides, so I'll try to go through them as kind of in a way that hopefully it gives you sufficient insight in this limited amount of time, and I'm happy to take any questions, and also I'm happy to basically answer any questions. So if you ever ask yourself, I know you come from an audience, basically I had a look at the list of all the participants, and I can see that you're at the different stages of your career. So for some of you, obviously you're experienced and have published in scholarly journals. Some of you perhaps are at the start of the career. So I'll try to make this basically interesting and useful to everyone. So some of the activities that we get involved into is, for example, obviously publishing and dissemination. But while we do that, we also provide a quality assurance. That means content has been peer reviewed, somebody has looked at it, somebody has commented on it, provided advice before this content was published. Obviously, we have editorial boards and editors to ensure that this content is basically being properly checked and it's a good science. We obviously edit the content, we organize information in journals, in books, in databases. We offer, as I said, peer review management. We also add additional level of control for plagiarism detection and plagiarism checks. We also, as you know, we commission content. We invite people to submit to us. We buy journals. We start new journals. So, our activities are basically numerous. And also, we are trying to engage with our scientific communities around the world and support the scientific community around the world. So all this can be boiled down to one question. Whatever we do, we ask ourselves, how does it advance science and scholarly discourse? So some of the activities can be basically separated into 4 distinct activities levels. So academic publisher is a facilitator of innovation. I kind of found that somewhere when I was researching specifically for this workshop, and I thought this is true. And as part of that facilitation, we support funding. So publishing helps funders assess quality of research and also identify some emerging research area. Publishers support and improve research activity through peer review and other contribution. We make research accessible, searchable, discoverable. As you know, when we publish online, we basically organize this information, but we also, use tagging and use technology to make basically research discoverable. And we develop platforms, tools, collaboration management. So you're probably all aware about some of the publisher-led initiatives like Crosscheck, Crossref, Crossmark, ORCID, and FundRef. We also provide research and discovery and semantic enrichment. For example, a good example for that is our Inspec Analytics database. We preserve content through archiving, so there is a dark archive for clocks. There are other dark archives, but one of the most used ones. So also what's really important for the authors and for researchers, when you publish in our journals, we help you establish research primacy. But stamping the precedence, ownership of your idea, of your approach, of your finding. So, for example, your research has been published on this date, and then anybody else who follows after you has to basically cite this research. And as researchers, publishing is crucial for career progression, reputation building, and future funding. So, how to get published? Why publish? This is kind of an important question. Then where would you publish, and how, and then what do you need to publish? So, as I just said, researchers need to prove their work and the value to wider scientific discourse. The core kind of publishing process in academic journals, subject to your work and your results to peer review process, which then basically this publication helps you advance your career. And obviously, as a researchers, you'll be also actively involved in peer review process and assess somebody else's work in the same way. You can decide to publish in journals or conference proceedings, but also now in repositories, for example, like archive. There are advantages and disadvantages of publishing in either. Excuse me. Journal publication has a higher reputation and are more likely to be highly cited. Conferences are more immediate, offering an opportunity to have real-time discussions with international research community, with industry. Journals, obviously, if you submit to a journal, highly reputable journals will reject a high number of research that gets submitted to them. But conferences will provide, and for conference, obviously, in pre-COVID times, there is obviously travel and sustenance and other costs that you have to cover. So it is really important that as a researcher, you're very confident about your chosen journal, and that journal have a suitable profile among your peers and enhance your reputation. That will also raise your professional profile, that will help you progress your career. Also, journals, when you look at the journal, you probably want to know where the journal's been indexed. Is it been archived? Is it easily discoverable? Has it got an impact factor? Has it got a side score? And then also, as an author, you should expect a professional publishing service from publishers. And if you don't get that, then obviously there is a good reason not to publish with, because publishers ought to kind of raise your concerns and also kind of share your experiences sometimes in scientific communities. But I'm sure that you all have good experiences, or majority of good experiences when publish when you're working with academic publishers. So obviously, types of journals. There are still subscription journals around, obviously, despite of kind of drive towards open access. So this is where libraries pay for access. Open access journals, which are supported by funder fees, by funder grants, where author is basically meant to find the way to pay for article processing charges, which are part of open access journals publishing. Then there are hybrid journals, which basically are subscription journals, which allow open access publication. They're kind of journals that are sort of helping this transition towards open access. And again, letters, which are sort of published short papers, rapid communication. For example, we have 3 letter journals, including electronic letters. Again, as I said before, when you and I'm trying to be neutral in this presentation, so I'm obviously put on this slide, I've included some of the journals from other publishers as well, because obviously there are thousands of journals out there, and you obviously need to find a journal that's closest to your research. If impact factor is driver for you, for institution, which often is, then obviously you would look at the impact factor. What is the reputation of the journal and scientific community? And really important bit, who is the editor-in-chief, who are the editorial boards, do actually they publish in the journal, how they support the journals, and then also turnaround times. All publishers, including us, are constantly working in terms of improving our turnaround times, which is becoming easier with sort of digital publishing. So how to publish? First of all, and this is perhaps the bit which kind of gets sometimes neglected, but it is really important that you read the guidelines. And publishers are now becoming a lot more flexible in terms of requirements and in terms of the structure